So most of the knowledge management applications we use in Schneider Electric are based on MediaWiki, and we use semantic MediaWiki extensively in them, and especially in the internal Schneider Electric Encyclopedia. But we will not show you these applications because they are internal. They are inside Schneider Electric and not public. So we'll talk about another wiki which is public and which is managed by Laurent.
Hi everyone. Don't know if it's working. You can hear me? Yeah, perfect. So Laurent Mischler, I'm working in a technical communication team, and especially in charge of this electrical installation wiki. The title, in fact, is Guide and Wiki, but I will explain that in a minute. So the idea, I'm going to introduce you this wiki, what it is, what is the content there in this public wiki, what is the structure, because it's mainly focused on the structure of the original book that created this wiki, and how it works and how we implemented navigation for the users and visitors of this wiki in line with that complex structure. And Emmanuel will explain how technically that was implemented in terms of extensions and semantic MediaWiki properties. Okay, so this wiki, very quickly, it's about electrical installation, how to make electrical installations according to international standards, etc. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. And this is something, if you have technical questions like this, if you have in this domain, there is a reference information that we provide that can be found in this wiki. So what you can see here is the current version of the wiki, which is live. And it can also be found in a guide in PDF, more traditionally, because some people still prefer to read it on a kind of book or printed book. So that's the introduction. So to tell a little bit more, the guide, so the book itself is a real thick content, 600 pages somehow, that was created by our experts quite some time ago, and it's been updated and evolved along the time with the standards evolutions. So I already said it, it's really helping, and it's a kind of technical reference on how to make those electrical installations, what about harmonics and whatever. It's not so important. It's pretty rich content, a lot of math formulas, big tables, quite complex, a lot of vectorial images with text inside them, so quite complex content. And the wiki is, in fact, the same content as the book, at least it's like this today, which has been created in 2010 for the English version. We also have some translated or localized versions. So it's the same content, more or less, as the book in a wiki. It's a MediaWiki, which is public. It's also open to external contribution. We don't have the same level of contribution as Wikipedia, but it's really very technical content. So when we asked the users who created accounts, they said, well, great, we are happy to find this content, but I have no idea how to change this type of very expert content. And the ones who were expert were saying, well, I have no idea how to edit a page in MediaWiki. So that makes external contribution limited. We have some contribution anyway, like teachers in Italy from electrical engineering schools recently. So what about the structure? So the book is thick, I said, so it's 17 chapters for different topics, and each chapter has sections, and sections have paragraphs. So we have all this kind of architecture. And the wiki has the same kind of structure. So it's more a wiki book than just a wiki with pages that are, independent and linked to each other. So that was our challenge. So we are preparing a new version of this wiki, and we wanted to simplify the navigation. So I'm going to show you, and that's why I connected my computer, how this works. It's still in pre-production environment. So let me switch to it. Okay, so that's the home page, whatever, and if I browse through the page, I find here the table of contents with those chapters here. Then I can enter one of those chapters. I end up with, let's say, the chapter landing page, which has its own table of contents with its sections and paragraphs. And if I go to one of these pages, I end up in the real inside content pages. And as you can see, we implemented left navigation menu. So this was done with the help of Dockit to create this side menu specific with our hierarchy, which is here is only for one chapter. So it's let's say it's dynamic. You can open and close a section. It's by default opening only the section where you are. Sorry, I'm used to my mouse. But you can navigate from one page to another with this side menu. But what is also very interesting, and we didn't have that before, is that now we have next page, previous page buttons, so that you can browse through the book. So, of course, yeah, you can go to the next page and the previous page. What I didn't mention is that also, but Emmanuel will tell more, is that the table of contents of the chapters are automatically generated. You'll see that later. And the last point that we implemented that we didn't have before is these breadcrumb links, which show exactly where you are, a bit similar to the side menu, but with a global structure from the home page down to the specific page where you are. So that simplifies a lot the navigation. It's also responsive, which is important, even though we don't recommend people to read such technical things on a smartphone. We have 30% of people arriving from a smartphone. So at least you have to propose a decent overview of what they can get there. But that's not the topic, so I will let Emmanuel explain how we implemented that. Let me give you back, put you back into this full screen.
Merci. So how we did implement the solution. We use Semantic Media Wiki, but with, in fact, only one property. So the menu is based on one page, which describes the hierarchy of the page, and this is the only page used to navigate. So the only property we use is as parent page, and it is added to each page with hierarchy builder extension. So
yes.
point.
Yeah.
Yes, it works. It works. It works, but I had to add something to take into account the French and other languages characters, because it was not working before. The code is just on the bottom. Okay, and so each chapter has a summary, as explained Laurent. So with the command hierarchy subtree, we can get the table of contents of each chapter. And for the left menu, what we call the side menu, it's development from Dockit. And yes, yes, we had some issues with some pages having the same title, and we did not want to display the title, because we made different titles for the different pages, but we wanted to have them displayed with the same title. So With the extension display title, it works. We can have in the menu 2 times the same page title. For the previous next buttons on the bottom of the page, we still use the hierarchy builder extension with a little adaptation to make it more HTML and CSS friendly. And for the breadcrumb links, we just use the semantic breadcrumb links extension using the as parent page property. So, working with the semantic media wiki, we thought it was possible to extend the possibilities of the wiki. In fact, in most of the pages, there are figures and tables, and it would be good to have them referenced with the property to be able to make some kind of table of contents of the pages and the figures attached. But this is for the next version.
So that's it, more or less. We explained the use case and how we did it. So now, if you have any questions, feel free. Yeah, the mic. You've got the second one. Good, thanks.
So, if I understood correctly, you're just using the has parent page property, right?
For the navigation, yes.
For the navigation, yes.
But the structure is defined in a dedicated page. So,
Yes.
Because the order
Yep.
of pages needs to be defined in a different place.
So the hierarchy is giving the complete book structure. So at chapter level, section, page inside the section. So it's just bullet lists with 3 levels that is used. And then all the extensions and all the rest is extracting data from there, in particular using the hierarchy builder extension, which makes it possible to get the parent page or get a subtree or then used for other things, which are next, previous buttons, etc. So that's how it works.
Okay. You're maintaining just this one book in your wiki, or do you have multiple books?
So this wiki is dedicated for that existing book right now. So it's exactly the same content with these 17 chapters, yes.
With this approach, would it be possible to have multiple books in a wiki?
Yes, because you could have another hierarchy for another book. So it's just a question of having another landing page showing the different books. You enter one book and you use one hierarchy because you in the code, you tell what is the page where the hierarchy is stored. So no problem.
Okay, now the killer question. Would it be possible to have one and the same page be part of 2 books?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Great. Thank you.
So my question is this: a book is supposed to be printed.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I understand, there is an existing book alongside the Wiki's website.
Yep.
Okay, so you have to manage both
Yes.
separately.
Definitely.
Did you try to investigate how to print the book directly from the wiki?
Yes, I did. In fact, I've been working with Pedia Press at the time, or who have developed the Wikipedia HTML to book, wiki page to book printing approach. In fact, what they developed for me at the time is a little bit different in terms of how it works, because we wanted to have, of course, a book which is, as the wiki, taking into account our graphic charter, because it's a Schneider book at the end of the day. And we want to have something pretty strict and organized, and it's pretty complex. So to do that, they didn't develop everything themselves. They have used existing HTML to PDF converters, which exist. In that case, it's, what's the name? Doesn't come back to me. It will come in a minute. And what they did is develop up front something that was getting the content of the HTML pages, preparing it a little bit, or reworking a bit the HTML to make it clean and more organized, and then developed the HTML to PDF using this thing, which is very good because you can define the CSS for that printed book. So this is something we have done more as an experiment. We didn't implement it as the only solution because it still has its limits. Like, for example, when you do this process, one thing that is not so easy to manage is where do you break between pages. And when you have your PDF, you cannot do nothing with it. So we have made a kind of process, but which is a bit repetitive, where you can add a code to say, okay, here it's not okay, I want to add a, and you have to reconvert again. So it's not yet ready for production, but we've been using it for the French wiki and the German wiki. And the PDF that is provided to customers is automatically generated from the wiki. So it works, kind of works, but still for the English international version, we keep a separate source.
Yeah, thanks very much for the presentation. It was really useful. You've got the content from the book at the moment put into the wiki. Is the intent that the wiki will be the source and where the content will be created in the future?
That's the idea that we mocked up with this approach to be able to create a PDF from the wiki. But, okay, you have to be able first to produce the PDF. That's one end of the difficulty. And the other end of the difficulty, who's going to contribute to the content. So until now, we were not using a visual editor, for example, which makes it more complex for our experts, who are experts in electricity, but not experts in contributing in a wiki. So we plan to try and include more of our contribution directly on the wiki. And hopefully, medium-term plan could be to have the wiki as the only source. But today we didn't decide to do that because there are still a number of points which are not so easy to manage. Images are also not so easy to work with. We are using SVGs, but based from clean images created by, let's say, agency for print. And you still have to manage the difficulty that if you want to print a book, you have to have high-definition images and CMYK and et cetera, and have worked on that, but it's still not sure that it's 100% feasible.
Is there a cost associated with accessing the wiki?
Sorry?
Is there a cost associated with accessing the wiki? Because right now, if you want the electrical installation instructions, you have to buy the book.
Oh, the printed book is not for sale right now. It's we give it to some of our customers as a kind of present, consulting engineers in particular who like this kind of technical Bible. The PDF is accessible on the web, on Schneider website, but you need to register to Schneider database somehow. But the wiki is open to anyone and freely accessible. Anyone can read the wiki. So that's the way it's positioned today.
Okay. This fix you did to the hierarchy builder, did you provide a patch to, for example, Cindy?
No, I did not provide a patch.
Then I would urge you to do so.
There is a little difficulty because Schneider Electric is not very clear about the open source software contributions from their employees. So, yes, it's a problem. But we are working on it because I am not the only one to work with open source software in Schneider. And more people are asking themselves questions about this, because Schneider use a lot of open source software, but for the contributions, I'm not sure there are many. And yes, I would like to add some contributions, but today I'm not allowed to.
By the way, it's also using chameleon skin. I didn't mention it, but. No, we use it as it is. It has its limits. It's not the latest version, obviously. It's still the Bootstrap 3.
Okay.
Okay.
I just have one more question.
Sure.
Do you consider a LaTeX export?
Not today, no. No.
Sometime?
In fact, the main target for the content for contribution is more our internal experts, and clearly Word format would be much better. If I were able to provide them a Word extraction of one chapter so that they rework on it, and then someone else or themselves, if they are trained to make the additions that they made in the Word into the wiki, that would solve that part of the contribution to make the wiki the only source.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.